are you doing? Oh fuck, Ira's gonna stop!
I really wanted to start this out by asking, because you've played such a good or relatable characters on TV.
Yeah.
With Boimler, with Huey, with Superman. But in movies, you've played a lot of assholes.
I have. Yes.
I want to know, is that intentional?
No, not intentional. No, I think it's just, whenever I read this script, it was one of the best scripts I've ever read, and the part really resonated with me in a way where I knew I could find a way in. I think maybe it's a bit of a coincidence that I tend to play assholes in movies. I'm hoping to end that trend eventually, but no, what I found interesting about this part was he's very much the villain of the story. And I feel like if you took this subject matter in this story, a lesser version of it is him as the protagonist, and Iris is the one who's going on a rampage, and Josh has to save the day. But I love that we flipped that. I think that's a really great and clever way of telling this story. And I think originally Drew, who wrote the script and directed the movie, he had it to where Josh was the protagonist, but he always found his empathy going toward Iris. So I'm glad he change things up. But I think with Josh, what I like about him is that he's a villain who doesn't know he's a villain. Like, from his perspective, he's the hero of the story. And I think the best villains are that way. And, I tried to find empathy for him while I was playing him, and I think I ultimately did. But now that I'm not playing him anymore, I'm just so excited to say, screw Josh, I don't like him, and I would not invite him to my home. He's not a good dude.
He feels like a real person. Like, I feel like I've encountered people like Josh.
Thank you for saying that, because that was kind of my biggest thing, was I didn't want him to be a mustache-twirling villain. I wanted him to be... I think the scary thing about him is that he feels kind of real to our world.
Yeah. I know in the past you said with Scream you created a fake Reddit account.
Yeah, I did.
True?
I did.
Did you do anything similar with prepping to play Josh?
No, nothing where like I put it, out in the world, quite the way I did with Richie and Scream. I also maybe think that because, I had to keep the fact that I was the killer in that, spoilers, I had to keep that a secret for so long. And I even had to keep it a secret from my fellow Scream cast members, like that we were trying to not reveal it even to them. So I think that was my little way of like doing a little character work out in the world in kind of a secret way. But with Josh, you kind of more or less know he's not the greatest guy the whole time. And I think really what I did is I work a lot with backstory. I work a lot with like I kind of, it's like a meditative process where I close my eyes and try to see my character's life through their eyes a bit. And then I eventually simplified it enough to where I think it's just, I eventually landed on Josh is a guy who has not heard the words "I love you" that much in his life, if at all. And I think that motivates him to do really despicable things. And as soon as I clued into that, like, I think he's one of the most insecure characters I've ever played in my life. But once I hooked into that he hasn't heard "I love you" thing, that's when the empathy started to kick in. And then I wasn't commenting on him anymore. I could just authentically play him as best I could.
Maybe I missed this in the movie, but you're talking about backstory, and I kept wondering, because he lives in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Does he have a job? Do you?
Oh God, I think at that point in his life, I think when he essentially like gets Iris, I think he's at a real low point. I've forgotten certain details about my backstory at that point, but I think at that point I think he's just recently out of a job. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Like, he's at a real low point in his life, and I think he gets the reason why he purchases Iris, if you want to say that, in the first place, is I think it does come from a sense of loneliness. I think he's a really lonely character, and I think the plan that you see him try to enact throughout the movie, I think that comes later. That's what it was in my head, at least. But I also work a lot with music. I have a whole Josh playlist. I create a playlist for every character that I play. I would watch some movies. There's a lot of delusion. I worked a lot with delusion because I think that Josh thinks he's John Cusack in the 80s. So I watched a lot of those movies. I watched Her. I think Josh thinks he's Joaquin Phoenix in her. I think he thinks of himself as a romantic. He thinks of himself as a good guy, which is a red flag. All that kind of combined to, make the character what he is.
So I remember when we last talked, I think you were on set filming this.
Okay.
Not sure.
This. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Was I in a random cabin somewhere?
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Yeah, that was where I was staying. Was I in a random cabin? Could you...
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. No, but yeah, that makes sense. I was definitely prepping or filming this. Yeah.
But I remember when you were announced to be in this, because this is from the same producers as Barbarian, I was really excited because I'm a huge fan of you on The Boys.
Oh, thank you.
Scream. And I'm very curious, had you seen Barbarian prior to being cast?
Yeah, and that was a big reason why I wanted to do it. I remember getting an email. The part was not mine yet. I just got an email saying, hey, take a look at this script. It's from the same team that did Barbarian. And I think I was just like, I don't care what I have going on today. I need to stop and read this because that movie was so good and just took me totally by surprise. It was my favorite movie of, I believe, 2022, whenever it came out. I think, is that a... Oh, no, sorry. I thought that was a Barbarian poster behind you. It's a Monkey Man poster. Just the red and the silhouette and the... But no, I absolutely loved that movie. And I just think that this team is so incredible. Boulder Light, they're unbelievable. Zach Cregger is a producer. I've been a big fan of his ever since The Whitest Kids You Know, his sketch comedy group. His Abe Lincoln sketch alone just changed my life. So the fact that he made such a big splash in horror was so exciting. And then to work with Drew Hancock, who created this amazing world, and it's his feature debut, which I find so hard to believe because he's just so talented, and I just can't wait to see what he does next. So I just love that I get to be a part of Boulder Light and Zach and Drew's world, at least a little bit. It's been such an honor.
You and Sophie have such unique chemistry in this movie, and I am so curious, how much experience did you have with her even before filming? Like, how do you build that kind of odd, it's not sweet, it's not sinister?
I love that you're saying this because that's exactly kind of what we're going for. We didn't know each other. We had mutual friends. Jasmine Savoy Brown, who's on Yellow Jackets and was also in Scream with me, was kind of our mutual. But no, we kind of had to hit the ground running. We chatted a lot, and then there was some stuff that I think we didn't chat about, and that was really great. I think, especially in those beginning scenes where I think we wanted the audience to think like, oh, what a great couple, at least at first. And then you start noticing like something's a bit off about them, and I can't really put my finger on it. I think that was definitely intentional, and I think Drew was really wise to shoot all that stuff in the very beginning because that's when we're both pretty new to the project and we're getting our first day jitters out. So any kind of offness, I think, was very welcome. It's the first time where, this doesn't feel right, feels right. It was a really interesting balance in that way. Because you want to believe that they have history, but there's obviously there's such a caveat to that sentence that, you'll discover once you see the movie. But that was a really interesting, unique chemistry, I think is a good way to put it. Because that's exactly what we were going for.
And this movie is so unique as well because it's kind of being marketed as kind of almost a rom-com, but also horror. I still don't know. Do you have a specific genre that you think this movie falls into? Because it's so different.
No, I don't. That's what I love about it, though. I mean, I remember reading the script and being like, I don't know what genre this movie is, and I love that. I love that Drew has created his own unique tone, and I think the craziest part about it was we had to stop shooting in the middle because of the SAG strike. We shot the first half, and we're shooting in sequence, more or less. And we shot the first half of the movie in the summer, and then we had to, go away. And then when we came back, it was still in upstate New York, but now it was the winter. And it was, we're wearing T-shirts for all the summer-based scenes, and by the time it was winter, we still had to be wearing those T-shirts, but we're outside. It was freezing. We had to have people wheeling carts full of fake green trees into the background just to make it seem like it was still summer. But the craziest part about that was that Drew, in the meantime, was able to watch the first half of the movie and really understand. Not that he didn't before. The tone was always so razor sharp, but he was really able to understand the exact movie he was making. And so by the time we got back, it felt like that tone was even sharper and more specific because he knew exactly what he wanted from this movie. You know, he was able to like trim all the fat and then, you know, come back really lean and so specific and pointed. So that second half, I loved shooting even more. It was so great.
Going on to the romance thing, because this is coming out a little bit around Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Would you consider this a date movie or not?
I would consider it. I would consider it a date movie, or the worst date movie. It's like, you know, if you're going, depends on how well you know the person. I hope you have a really great couples therapist. I'll just say that. I hope that if you'll work some stuff out afterwards. Yeah. It's a good test, I've heard. Like, a few of us have been talking about that on the press tour. We're like, it's a good test. Like, if you're taking someone to that movie and then you ask them afterwards, who do you think the protagonist was? And if they say Josh, run. Just run. Yeah.
Because I feel like the first trailer for this movie, it completely just shows Josh as purely the villain. But then they released a second trailer not so long ago that almost showed you as kind of the hero.
Yeah, it's I love what they're doing here because he is, like I said, he's the villain who doesn't know he's the villain. I think he thinks he's the hero. But yeah, it is it's just I love how oh God, I just don't want to spoil anything, but I love how they're choosing to market this and they're trying to, I wouldn't say trick people, but I do love how little they're giving away. Even if you think you know what's happening, I think that there are more twists in store, and I think that it's not a movie that necessarily relies on its twist to be good or bad. I think it stands on its own. So yeah, if you know a little bit, fine, but I would still encourage people to go in as blind as they possibly can because that's the way I read the script, just being bowled over by everything that happened.
Yeah, I guess because of my job, I'm supposed to like psychoanalyze the trailer, but I'm also just like, I kept waiting though for a specific dinosaur suit scene that I saw, and that delivered.
Oh, thank you very much. That was maybe the most fun I had while shooting that movie. It was also one of the rare days we had like extras. It was so weird where we like weren't shooting in that house. But yeah, no, thank you. I also had a genuinely good time with that scene.
So I wanted to ask, because this is your first of two like big theatrical movies coming out this year that you are the lead in. Because you also have Novocaine coming out, which I'm excited because you're playing a Nathan.
Oh, there we go. A fellow Nate. That's incredible.
Yes.
Nates are always cool. I've known many Nates and many Nathans and Nates, and they're always cool.
I'm happy to hear that. But I'm curious, do you want to, because I know The Boys is wrapping up, do you want to continue venturing into movies, or do you kind of want to do both movies and TV?
I think, oh man, I think I just kind of gave up like being like calling my shot a long time ago. I enjoy, and I feel very lucky and very privileged to be in projects that I genuinely enjoy and genuinely would check out if I wasn't involved in them. That's to me the dream, and I feel like I've achieved that. So yeah, if a TV show comes along that speaks to me in a really great way, I of course will take that on. Right now, I think I'm a little bit slightly more interested in movies just because I don't have to be away for like 8 months. But I think movies are so, I don't know. I mean, I'm such a big fan of movies and TV, but right now I think movies we're entering, I think, a new phase of movies. I think, you know, I'm encouraged by stuff like Letterboxd and stuff like that, like stuff that, like the cinephiles out there are really starting to, there's this groundswell of people who really appreciate movies, and it's an exciting thing to be a part of in some small way.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I am a huge fan of you as an actor, also just a huge fan of this movie.
Oh, thank you, man.
They sent me a screener, but I'm like, I need to see this again in a theater as well.
I still haven't seen it with a crowd. I'm doing that tonight for the first time. For the premiere. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Well, have fun.
All right, will do. Thank you, Nathan. Really good to chat with you again.